This is It's Not in the Syllabus podcast, the how-tos of a student beyond classroom walls. This is the podcast where you, yes you, get to learn what they don't teach you at school and ace that test called life, or at least get a passing grade and get by. It's Not in the Syllabus is a podcast brought to you by the Adventist International Institute of Advanced Studies, together with the Student Association, where we feature stories by the students and for the students. Join us as we discover life lessons you'll surely need.
Welcome one, welcome all to another podcast, It's Not in the Syllabus. We are in episode 16 and we are talking about relationship. Today's title is Relationship and we are in a month of February. Apparently February has been described as a month of love. So with me, I have special guests. Let me greet them, Theo and Danielle. Danielle. How are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Well, thank you.
Good. So allow me to introduce them briefly. So they are from Brazil, Brazilians. We speak Portuguese, both of us. Not both of us, three of us.
Yes.
So they are from Brazil. Theo is a pastor since 1998. Wow. They've been married for 22 years. They first had a stillborn baby girl called Ellen. Parents of three boys, William, which is 16, Rafael, 15, and Benjamin, 11. So Theo is a Ph.D. student in the theological department at AIIAS. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so we are going to begin with few questions. We are talking about relationships, and now we will be talking about the 5 love languages. The first question is, what are the 5 love languages, and are they still relevant today?
Okay. So before we talk about the 5 love languages, I like to think that so many people see love just as a feeling.
Okay.
When you fall in love and that love at first sight, some people describe it as fireworks and butterfly in the stomach, all of that. When you are with that person, nothing else matters.
Okay.
You just want to stay with that person all the time. But according to the psychologists, the average span phase of this feeling is around 2 years. So you are in love for 2 years, and after that, it's like you come down
Reality
to earth.
strengths.
Yes,
Okay.
and then you start to see all the failures, the faults and shortcomings, and then you come, wow, is this the person that I really, got married with?
Did you feel that way?
I felt, yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Did I make any mistake? Do I still, do I really love the person? And then you come to the realization that you go to another phase,
Okay.
which is love as an attitude. You choose to love.
I like that.
Yeah, and then it's so according to Dr. Chapman, he comes to say that the 5 love languages is a way to express our love in on emotional levels.
And if the point is that if love is really is a feeling, as we tend to think, what if I don't feel that I'm being loved? What if I feel that he or she doesn't love me anymore?
All right.
That my spouse doesn't love me anymore. So, or maybe something that it was done, or something that should be done, it was not done. Then I feel I'm not loved anymore. So sometimes that's why many times people they have just a romantic love.
Okay.
That feeling.
Okay.
And then, but the love tends to be a more mature love.
All right.
And then they change that mature love for another romantic love.
Okay.
So they start new relationships because they believe that they need a new love in their life.
New experience.
So then they at the end they have the same experience.
Okay.
That now they don't, they may not feel loved anymore. So that's why there is this idea of 5 love languages.
All right.
What we would say is 5 ways that people give and receive love. So the first of them is words of affirmation.
All right.
All of us we want to be affirmed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's good when someone talks something nice about us.
Mm-hmm.
And our kids, they want to hear good things. So if when I open my voice to them and I only tell them something which is not good, and that this I'm not showing love to them, you know. And
so words of affirmation comes in a way of affirming your love to the other person through words, you know, and you know, appreciate the other person, what you like, and how, you know, you say I love you, you look beautiful today, you know, your food is nice, you know, give words of compliments to the other person.
I like what you guys began with by describing what is love. Actually, both of you, I can get from your responses that love is a choice that one needs to make. And then the love language comes as a way to express that choice. So through words of affirmation. Now, Theo mentioned about your love language. What about his love language?
Now, he mentioned,
just one.
No, he mentioned about the first one.
There are five.
There are five.
Okay, let's go through the five.
Yes, sure.
Okay.
So he mentioned the first one, the words of affirmation,
right.
And the second one, acts of service.
Yes.
You know, for example, for a wife, the way that a husband expresses love is by hoovering and washing dishes, you know, changing the baby.
Wow.
But the issue is that we are not saying that all those five languages, they have the same value for you.
Yes.
Okay? For me, of course, when I consider the five love languages, one of them is going to be primary to me.
Yes, definitely.
And one, maybe it's not the same for her. And so, of course, it doesn't mean that because this is not her acts of service may not be her first love language, that I cannot do acts of service to my wife.
All right.
Okay? So maybe let us say if the main love language for her is words of affirmation, of course I need to bring words of affirmation, even if it was not the primary language for her.
All right.
But I still need to show or different ways of showing my love to her, but understand exactly where she's coming from. So you have acts of service, you have physical touch as well. It's something important for, especially as we consider as a couple as well. It's a way for you to show love as well.
And when we talk about physical love, is you know, cuddling, hugs, kisses, holding hands, and of course sexual intimacy for a married couple. And so there's a variety of ways.
I think we need to emphasize this sexual intimacy for married
couple. Yeah.
I hope you guys got that at home.
Another one is receiving or giving gifts as well.
Definitely.
This is important. It's a way to express love, you know, when someone, let us say the husband travels or the wife travels and comes back and brings something as a gift. So it's a way to say, look, I was there, but I thought about you. So that's a token of my, you know, gratitude of my love to you.
And it doesn't need to be expensive. Because when you talk about receiving gifts, the husband may say, oh, so it means that I have to give you know, expensive gifts all the time. No, you know, like just, I remember when my kids, they were small, they would bring to me like stones that they collected in their way, and flowers. So it's just things that will show to the person that you thought about him or about her. Yes.
And many times I ask my kids to write a card to mommy.
All right.
You know, let us say mommy was not well, was not in good health. So I ask them, can you write something? Let us prepare a card for mommy.
Yeah.
So they wrote that card, mommy, I hope you do, you know, you get better soon.
Okay.
And then we gave to her. Okay. So it was a gift from them to mommy. So, and this is not about, as she said, it's not about the price, monetarily speaking, but it's about the attitude.
The attitude.
Small gifts that show the love as well, and also quality time.
Definitely.
Okay, and there is many people, they say, I don't have much time, but I have quality time. So quality time is not an excuse for lack of time.
Yeah, I think you need to clarify a little bit on the quality time, because what I read is quality time is not you being with your wife and you engage in something else.
Mhm.
It's like you being there physically, and you need to be there present.
Yeah.
Not like you are there with your wife in a living room and you're
Mhm.
still writing your dissertation.
Yeah, we have an example, during the pandemic.
Okay.
Many of us, we remained
At home.
at home.
Mhm.
And we could think that, okay, I'm giving time,
Mhm.
to my husband and my wife and my kids, but are you really giving undivided attention?
All right.
Because when you talk about quality time is when you give undivided attention.
Attention.
Mhm.
So it's like being together,
Mhm.
sharing the meal without looking at the phone,
Mhm.
and if sitting together in the sofa, really look at the eyes, and
Alright.
talk and listen, especially for, if this is a woman
Yeah.
primary language,
Yeah.
the husband really needs to look at her eyes and really listen to her, because she can sense when he's there physically,
Yeah.
but the mind is everywhere else.
Yeah. The quality time
All
may
right.
involve doing something together, as well,
Yes.
watching a movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Although you are not talking, but you
You're
are
just there.
having quality time. You are that
Yeah.
time is for both of you.
All right.
And
Yeah, look, for example, let us say that my hobby is jogging, but he
Alright.
doesn't really like jogging.
Okay.
But he said, I will go jogging with you today.
Okay.
So it means a lot for the person that, quality
Mhm.
time is primary love language.
All right, let's move to the second
Mhm.
question, and which goes like this: is it true that the way you love is also the way you will want to be loved?
I would say that we tend to act this way
Mhm.
because for me, acts of service is the most important.
Okay.
I may think that for you is the same.
Mhm.
So let us say if you look at someone who enjoys to travel and enjoys to buy gifts for everyone,
Mhm.
and sometimes even spending what they cannot afford to give gifts to people to show their appreciation.
All right.
So they may expect others also, every time they travel, to bring a gift to them. But but the friends may have another way to show
Love.
love.
Yeah.
And so you may think, though, they don't love me as I love them because I give them gifts.
Mhm.
But they love you in a different way.
Different way.
And so we may tend to act this way, and as a couple as well. It's not different, especially as you are starting the relationship. Okay.
Yeah, for example, you asked before,
Yeah.
what is our love
His
language?
love, yeah.
My love language is quality time as a
Okay.
primary
The primary
language,
one.
and the secondary is nowadays words of affirmation.
Nowadays.
Nowadays.
It means can change.
It can change.
All right.
For example, in our first year of marriage,
Mhm.
it was quality time, and my secondary was acts of service.
All right.
So there was one occasion in our second year of marriage that he came home.
All
I
right.
was my first pregnancy, with all the nausea and everything.
Yeah.
He came home with a flower,
All right.
beautiful flower, and I just looked at the flower and said,
Gifts.
Yeah, gift.
I wish he could.
Give me
I wish
something
this was a
different."
soup. So for that reason,
Mhm.
he went to the kitchen for the first time to prepare a soup for me.
All right.
You know,
How did it turn out?
it was great. Yeah, and I would
Really?
say that is even better than mine.
Yeah.
And his primary
Yeah.
love language is words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation. So
Alright.
so I like to come and say I love you to her
Alright.
many times,
Mhm.
to my kids many times.
Mhm.
So then because this is for me is important. It's the primary love language.
All right.
Words of affirmation, but maybe it's not for her. So
Yeah.
of course we need to understand each other,
Mhm.
so there is no misconception about what love means.
So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's why it's
Mhm.
important to identify the other person's primary love.
That's
Why?
where communication comes in.
Yes.
All right.
Mhm.
Because I thought I was loving him by doing acts of service and, giving him quality time.
All right.
But it was important for him to hear words of affirmation.
All right.
And for me, it was really hard because I came from my childhood was totally different than, I didn't receive those words of affirmation as a child and as adolescents.
Yeah.
So for me, it was hard to say to him, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate what you do for me. I had to learn for him to really show, see that I loved him.
It's a good thing that I'm getting that you have to learn how to express the love language of your partner.
Yes.
And this is where communication comes in between. So let's move to our last question, which is it important to find out the love language of others? I will not say of others, but I will say maybe of those who you really love, your wife, your children, your co-workers, and so forth. Is it important to do that?
It's important because many challenge let us say a couple have, they may be able to overcome those challenges as they communicate and understand each other. So many times when you have counseling, I had counseling, with couples that they have been struggling about, they have not been showing love to each other, let us say. And one of the questions I would ask them was, okay, what are the best memories you have from the start of your relationship? So they tend to bring those memories and say how the other person showed love.
I see.
And now he's not showing that love anymore the way he used to do. And now she's not showing that love anymore the way she used to do.
Okay.
And they may understand that love you may express in different ways, And of course, we have challenges in life as well. As the life goes, we may have different needs.
All right.
Okay, and there was a time, for example, that my wife was in wheelchair for more than a year. The way to express love from our friends was, sometimes to help us to look after our kids.
All right.
Was the acts of service. Was that many times were more important than to come and say, oh, you get better.
I will pray for you.
I will pray for you.
All right.
Or you do well.
Yeah.
And try to words of affirmation for the person, because that's what we needed. I remember once that a friend came and he cooked for us. He said, look, I don't do many things, but I know how to cook. And he came and cooked for us. It was a way for him to show that act of service, because that's what we need at that time. Okay? And so we have, it's important to...
Yeah, we have these 5 words. 5 love languages, different ways of expressing our love.
Yeah.
And of course, each one of us, we want physical touch.
Definitely.
We want the words of affirmation, and but there is, out of these 5, there is one that it's like it's going to speak louder. It's going to
Stands
speak
the most.
deeply in you, and so it's important to identify that in your partner, in your children, so that you can, Dr. Chapman talks about, filling up the tank, the love tank,
gas tank,
so you can fill it up with that person's need, and of course the other love languages will also
come. I when I read his book, there are more love language there. I mean, there are those 5, but he wrote it for teenagers, for children, and for married, or even for men. So one thing that I like in his book, he said, you don't express just for the sake of expressing, or you don't show the love just for the sake of you really need to mean it. When you are expressing the love language of your partner, you need to mean it. Now, this question is not in the question list, but I want to ask, what will you suggest, or what will you advise a couple who is struggling to express a love language to each other? You, Theo, as a pastor, you've been a pastor for 22 years. How will you advise? And in your point of view, Danny, how will you also advise? So a few words from both of you.
It's hard to give one suggestion that would fit every single couple.
What have you been practicing?
But I would say that communication is one very important thing,
so
because
communication is the key to express your love language. Go ahead.
Because if I understand that my wife is not showing love to me, I'm not feeling loved the way she is doing. If I do not communicate, it may be hard for her to understand exactly what are my feelings, what are my needs at that moment.
Definitely.
Maybe I'm going through some challenge in my workplace, in my school, whatever, and she's not aware.
All right.
And I want her to behave in a certain way, to show love in a certain way, but she doesn't know that I have those feelings, that I'm going through those challenges. So one of the things I would say, it is communication.
Communication. I like that. So, Danny.
So I would finish by saying that, as we said at the beginning, love is a choice, right? And you can choose to learn.
You can choose
if
to
you
learn.
Want your relationship to flourish, to live, to have a happy wife, a happy husband, go there, try to learn, try to identify, ask questions to your partner. How do you feel more comfortable? What do you like me to do for you? Because like for us, I remember in the first years of our marriage, acts of service was something important for me.
Right.
But afterwards, after I had Lyme disease and I had been in a wheelchair, for me, words of affirmation became a big deal. Because being in a wheelchair, I felt like I'm nothing, And so it was important for me to hear from my husband, Danny, you are still important to me, I believe in you. So those words of affirmation became like my secondary one.
Yeah.
That at the beginning was act of service. But I was able to communicate to him. I said, sweetie, from now on, I want you to, to express in this way. I feel the need, that particularly need. And so he met my needs, because I was able to communicate, to express.
So you were able to communicate, and therefore communication is played a crucial role.
Yes.
I believe it still plays a crucial role in your
sure.
in your marriage. For those who are watching, they'll be watching the singles. There is also a word for them. You were once single.
Yes.
How did you, briefly, 3 words? How do you advise a single to identify his love language and express also to a future or potential partner?
Okay. Well, for the singles, I would say I was a single once. When I saw my husband, I saw love at first sight. But I didn't trust my instinct. I prayed a lot, and I asked God, please guide me. If He is the one,
Amen.
You show me, because I want somebody that will lift me up to become the person that God wants me to be. If at any point I would see that he was not, bring me close to God, I would say he's not for me. So, I look at the signs, pray about it. Don't trust only in your instincts and your feelings.
And don't trust your signs sometimes.
And in that context, when I knew that she wanted to know me, because we saw each other. It was only 1 year later that we met and we spoke.
All right.
We are introduced. But I knew that she wanted to meet me. And then I said, but how could that be? I became aware that she was praying for me.
Oh, wow.
That she spoke with her family about me.
Come on now.
And then when the first time we spoke, I told her, you don't know me. What if I'm not a good guy?
Yeah.
You may just think that I'm a good guy, And at that time I was thinking, God, I have been praying for you to show me someone who's really interested in me.
All right.
Honestly. And now I have someone who is, thinking about me even before she met me. So it was a way, it wasn't, and I told her when we spoke, I said, look, I cannot say I like you. We can start a relationship, but I cannot say I like you, because this is new to me. But I want to give me an opportunity to have that feeling for you.
All right.
And as we start the relationship,
Wonderful.
So it couldn't be about feelings, because it was only from her to me.
Yeah.
But finally it worked.
Amen. It worked for you, and I believe it's going to work also for those single individuals out there who will be watching this podcast. Daniela and Theo, thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing with us your 5 love language and how important it is in a relationship.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for staying tuned with us. Don't remember, you can subscribe, you can like, you can share this podcast with your friends, with your family, and we'll come right next week with another one. God bless you. Bye-bye.